Hello everybody, welcome back to another video. I'm hoping you guys are all having a fantastic day. So in today's video, as you can tell by the title, we'll be going over this massive winter storm that is occurring. It is powerful, it is strong. There have been already a few changes ever since last video. Obviously, the confidence continues to grow in this massive beast impacting much of the eastern, you can see, United States. Look at all these winter storm watches. There are winter storm watches across the south. And we have more details now about this because we do know that it's, obviously across Iowa right now. So we have kind of more up-to-date data and see what are the differences between what's actually happening, what the models are showing, where snowfall amounts have grown, where they have decreased, where the confidence is still uncertain. And yes, there's just so much to cover. A lot of snow, guys. I mean, this is a beast. And we've been saying this all along, and it seems like if that will be the case. So let me start just jumping right into this. Before I do that, I do want to say that if you are new to this channel, your first video you're ever watching, hello, welcome. I'm a weather enthusiast, I'm a weather hobbyist. I get excited about the weather, and that's why I make videos. I just talk about it. I'm not an official weather source. For that, always refer to the local National Weather Service office, but people still like to kind of enjoy communicating and talking with me on this weather channel page. So I implore you to leave a comment down below asking about your location. I'll do my best to answer it. And if you have, if you do appreciate this channel, consider liking and subscribing. Not begging, just saying it helps out a lot if you do end up liking this. All right, let's get into this. Let's start off. So, right, this was supposed to occur across the Dakotas, into the Minnesota area, into Iowa, into Missouri, Illinois, and it did exactly that. Now you may be wondering how much snow fell across these areas because that storm, it's out of there. It's done for those areas. And thankfully I have an answer for you. So these are snowfall reports submitted by people, right? And a lot of these are still coming in. They're not up to date. You can see some are from literally 8 a.m. today, and some, the more higher amounts are well, this is 5 a.m. so you can see that's a bit towards the west, a bit higher, but right there, yeah, see, that's 3:30. So they're not fully in, but here they're mostly fully in. You can see that a lot of them are decent snowfall amounts. I wouldn't say this necessarily overperformed. In some areas it did. I wouldn't say it underperformed either. I would say it did a pretty good job with this system. And you may be seeing some of these lighter amounts. Again, some of these are not up to date. If there was 4.3 inches here by 8 a.m., you can assume that there has been some additions to the snowfall as it stopped snowing there a bit later than 7 a.m. Obviously, we are already seeing very good amounts of snow across northern Iowa. There are extremely heavy snowfall rates. Some of these are just ridiculous across portions of Iowa. The thing is, though, what we are seeing that's already challenging kind of our viewing area across at least Des Moines, Iowa, is you could see that the warm sector of this storm is a lot more profound than previously thought. You can see Des Moines, Iowa, while the northern sections have been seeing just clobbered with very heavy snow, the southern sections and even really north of this rain snow line have been seeing this wet snow that's just a bit too wet to be maximizing those snowfall accumulations. And you can see that it even converted some of that over to rain across portions of downtown Des Moines. I don't know how accurate this is. Sometimes radar aren't that accurate in displaying precip types, but do note Omaha, Lincoln picking up definitely a few inches in this even tight band. They were seeing rain up until now, so it is a bit of a warmer scenario, to say the least. Notice this thing is coming towards the south and east, but it will kind of stop taking that eastward approach as it dives through the kind of Missouri area towards St. Louis. Again, it's still snowing across areas like Minneapolis. It's barely snowing there at this point. It's kind of wrapping up. Sioux Falls, Sioux City, seeing the remnants of that snow. And yeah, we'll have to see how the system did exactly across Minnesota. I have a feeling that some of these areas did get a bit less than maybe anticipated, but again, we only have data from, you can see 8 a.m., right, 7 a.m. I mean, I assume that we do have some 6-inch plus snowfall totals, probably within that 6 to 10 inch range, though I may be surprised if I see some 1 foot plus here. I don't think there will be, though, with the system's organization. But though it did get itself better organized once it hit Iowa. And now, yeah, so if you're living in Missouri and you're watching this video, you're wondering what's coming towards you, right? Let's take a glance. So do note that the northeastern side of the state will be seeing a lot. Kirksville could be seeing 5 to 8. Kansas City even picking up decent amounts. And I would not be surprised, guys. This is something that I want to say. If some of these amounts, you can see how they have a pretty large range. If they're towards that 6 6-inch amount, closer than that 3-inch amount. The reason is this is really developed, really well developed backside of the storm, and any model that did that in yesterday's model run was an outlier and showed a lot more snow. But because it's so well developed, this will continue transitioning over to mainly snow as it pushes through Kansas City. Even a few hours of additional snowfall compared to what they thought at these heavy snowfall rates could mean the difference between, a 3-inch event and that 6-inch end of that range. So yes, do note that Des Moines, Iowa, once it gets towards the backside of this thing, it will start converting mainly into a snow if you aren't already seeing snow. But yes, we do also have lake effect. So I just kind of wanted to go over the radar, the evolution of the system, what's different versus what's not. And you may think that's irrelevant compared to, what you may see in Pennsylvania if you're watching from Pennsylvania or West Virginia or whatnot. But I think it's still important to know what the current trends are, combine that with the model data, and then kind of go from there. But yes, do note that the system is definitely in some certain areas overperforming. There was not 12 inches expected across some of those locations, and if it were, it was on the higher end of snowfall totals. Let's play this forward, shall we? Notice by midnight today, so if you're in Iowa, you'll continue seeing snow. Des Moines, you'll continue seeing snow. Even if it is raining right now, don't despair. It will probably convert to some snow. Maybe the snowfall amounts will be a bit diminished, but trust me, some of those snowfall amounts will still be definitely over 6 inches. Notice that tomorrow, even by 6 o'clock in the morning, this thing is still snowing across Iowa, Illinois, Kansas City getting slammed by this thing at this point. Kirksville, as we saw, or Kirksville, I think that's what the name was. Notice that by the time tomorrow rolls along, tomorrow really well into the day tomorrow, 12 p.m. So this is noon. If you're across Missouri on Saturday, you will be snowbound. Same with St. Louis. You'll be seeing snow into portions of eastern Oklahoma, eastern Kansas, not far into Kansas, but just a little bit. Those border areas could see some snow. And then this is where things get interesting. First off, I do want to say that if you haven't noticed, this thing really slows down its pace. It was a lot quicker when it came through the Dakotas, but it slows down, and by the time tomorrow 6 p.m. rolls along, it's snowing still across southern Missouri, Arkansas, but we start seeing the system develop into southern moisture. Now, this is where the system gets extremely intricate and dangerous and just interesting, because I want to emphasize something. You see how we're seeing rain across Des Moines, Iowa, and no really model predicted that kind of far of that rain snow line getting that far to the north. Or the thing is, towards the south, that may be occurring in many other areas because it's a rain snow mess across the south. There could be back and forth constantly. So if there's a certain area, if there's just a few degrees of colder air available, some areas, like in Iowa right here, as you saw, some areas from the same time frame are reporting 1.3 inches right there, right? And just to the north at that same time, 4 p.m., 5 inches. So that, I'm not saying that, this will be an overperformer or underperformer as general, but I do think that there will be several areas that even if you're, say, in Georgia, Alabama, and you're getting a forecast of 6 inches, that's obviously towards the upper end. That would be probably in the extreme northern part of Georgia. You'll probably, you could easily see that cut in half or even doubled if the system kind of is colder or warmer. And I'll show you what the models show and why I'm kind of concerned about the kind of, I guess, the mess this thing could cause, a confusion. Because look, there it is. There's that band. A lot of this is what GFS shows that snow. Arkansas, Little Rock, there's southern Missouri, Nashville, seeing some snow right there. This is midnight tomorrow. Whether or not it will be more snowy, will it be maybe snowing across the northern part of the Tennessee at this point, or will it be rain? It's really, really hard to tell. The atmospheric profiles are a challenge. And you also have the factor of, will it turn into ice? Will there be cold air, but it's just more minimized, so it is melted into rain, but then freezes on contact? I mean, it's a mess. So what I would say right now is, even if you're forecasted to see, a lot of snow or a lot more rain than snow, stay weather aware, because this thing may throw a few curveballs, and obviously that may be in your favor if you want snow, but it also may not be in your favor if you want snow. It all depends, and I'm not saying that I have any specific locations picked out that will be overperforming or not. I'm just saying that there are going to be curveballs. Your local national or your local TV meteorologist may not just say that because they don't have enough time to go over all these different scenarios on like a 5-minute weather clip. But I can, and that's why I'm telling you, this thing will be throwing curveballs. Notice it does start shifting towards the east and north. It is very intense at this point. A lot of moisture. This is 6 a.m. early Sunday. Notice Tennessee, Mississippi. I think most of this will be falling as snow, maybe a bit of rain on the backside as we start getting towards the warmer sector here into Louisiana. but it also very well maybe just flurries for those areas, not rain. You know, the GFS really shows it's struggling to convert to snow across many areas. You can see Tennessee, the mountains right here, seeing actually a bit of warmer air. Right, notice a little bit of rain across Knoxville. And if you're to take a look at the winter weather advisories or watches that the National Weather posted, you can see this area hasn't seen anything yet. Right there, it's like a little glitch. And look, Knoxville can maybe only see 1 to 2 inches out of this, and everywhere around you kind of heavier snow. That's because of a pocket of warmer air. It's kind of weird. It's surrounded by winter storm watches, but it may not see that much. Notice Georgia at this point, northern Georgia is getting slammed by snow into, this is Sunday during the midday, now Sunday during the afternoon. You could still see there could be some rain on the backside of this, but especially where the heavier rates of snow are, there could be a lot more snow, there could be snow falling, not that rain or drizzle. And that's the thing, sometimes, you know, people across the south may not be as used to this as people towards the north, or may not know about this, but sometimes when you have a very marginal temperature profile associated with a winter storm, oftentimes when you see very heavy rates of precip, that gets converted to snowfall. It's called dynamic cooling. Because the precip is falling so quickly, it cools the temperatures and it allows it to convert to snow. However, if that precip lets up, the nucleation kind of dies down, and you see more of a drizzle. It's kind of like a drizzle, even though it's at the same temperature or at the same relative time frame as, say, another area. But the difference is in how intense that precip is. That may be a problem across some of these areas, eating up some of those snowfall amounts. Notice Ohio, West Virginia, Pennsylvania, Maryland. We do see that still spreading into your areas by late Sunday. This is now entering early Monday. It's spreading into Ohio, right? Erie, Pennsylvania, Pittsburgh, all these areas seeing a lot of snow. Coastal areas, yes, this will be a rain event for you. There was a bit of concern that this may be kind of a coastal storm a bit earlier on. It's going to be a rain event, and that really goes along for much of the Northeast, anywhere along the coast, right? New York City, Connecticut, Rhode Island, Boston, Hartford, all those cities/states will be seeing mainly rain. Do note that this thing is absolutely blasting certain areas with snow. Buffalo, Rochester, Toronto may get a bit of snow from that. Again, if it's just a bit towards the north and west, you could get a lot more, but then Montreal, Ottawa, Quebec sees a lot more out of this, and then that system's gone. Total snowfall, you know, even with all these curveballs and whatnot, it's impressive. Look at some of these amounts. I think this may be a bit underdone here. There could be some higher amounts across the south, especially if the snow converts a bit earlier. But notice across, Pennsylvania, New York, these amounts up here are definitely plausible. I think there will be amounts well over a foot, maybe even 1.5 feet, especially towards where some of that lake enhancement may help out a few areas. So that's the GFS. I'm going to show you the Canadian just to show you if there's any differences. Do note the main difference is, see if you could spot it. It's really, there honestly even isn't that much of a difference, which is a good thing. And notice that Arkansas, Mississippi, Tennessee, the Canadian shows a bit less for these amounts, but it's a bit more widespread. It's not as kind of isolated with those pink dots as what the GFS was showing. Notice right there. Again, we'll have to see which scenario kind of comes true. This one, puts cities like Cleveland right on the border between heavier and lighter snow. I still think Cleveland 3 to 6 inches, maybe even more, honestly, is very plausible. Pittsburgh getting the brunt of this, probably well over a foot, especially with colder snowfall. With colder temperatures, this snowfall rates and ratios may be a bit higher, meaning maybe up to 15 inches is possible across these areas. And as you get towards Canada, the St. Lawrence River cities that are situated on the St. Lawrence River, I should say, will be also getting a very, very healthy snowfall event, and portions into Georgia and South Carolina as well. So that's that. Let me show you the European model, one more global model before I show you some high-res models. And do note, there it is. You can see it's a monster. It goes up, very heavy snowfall rates, especially with that lake enhancement, and then that thing's out of there. Let's just not focus on the exact track of that, as I did that with the GFS already, and they show relatively similar tracks. Let's just see the snowfall amounts. So again, this came out at noon today, so some of these amounts are still a bit too much, and I don't think there will be 10 additional inches from this current point in Iowa, probably a bit less at this point. But notice Arkansas, Tennessee could be picking up, according to this, even a foot of snow across the south. Virginia, West Virginia, Ohio, Pennsylvania, New York. Honestly, if I were to turn on the Kuchera, which I can with this website, these amounts will be higher up here. And yes, notice that. The amounts down here are probably realistic because it will be a wetter, heavier snow, so I don't have to turn on the temperature profile, kind of more accurate snow. But here, I think there could be locations that do get isolated amounts over 2 feet. Sometimes all you need is a very good band, and you could get several inches of snow in just a few hours if that happens. So, we'll have to continue monitoring this. It's a big event. We're definitely a big storm, and you can see that even the most recent model run hasn't changed much with that. let's take a look at some of these high-res models. The NAM 12KM. It's a good model. It's a high-res model. You can see what snow it shows. Again, this came out today around 2-3 p.m. so it still shows a lot of snow for Iowa remaining. Good amounts for Arkansas. A bit more scattered across the south here, but it does show more narrow path across the north, which I do think is just a bit too narrow if you're to track the system out. Do notice that it is we're a bit different. It's a bit weaker. It takes a more southern kind of track with that rain snow line. It really starts showing really almost no snow to Tennessee, which I think is unrealistic, and it kind of drives up the northeast coast. So I wouldn't take the NAM 12K. I'm with a lot of I guess weighing power behind it. I don't think it has a system well under control. Let's see the RDPS. This is a high-res Canadian model. I'm just trying to show you the different scenarios so you guys don't get caught off guard, And do notice that this one shows a lot of ice for North Carolina. I mean, that would be very bad if there was actually that much ice across those areas. That would be very, very bad. And notice this one is very heavy with that ice, this Canadian one. Which I don't think the ice will be that profound. If it would be, or if it were to be that profound, this would make the system arguably much, much more dangerous and potentially nightmare for many of these areas. You can see snowfall amounts still pretty high, but because this one is way more heavier with the freezing rain, you can see some of these amounts would be just crippling, an inch and a half, right? Hopefully that doesn't occur. I don't think many models agree with the RDPS. If you take a look at the NAM, it does show quite a bit of ice, but the NAM has a cold bias. NAM always does this, so I'm not too concerned. But at the same time, I am a bit worried because the RDPS does show a lot of ice, and usually it's a bit more reluctant with that. Let's take a look at some of the other models. The HER model, this is a model that goes out 48 hours every once in a while. It does show some ice. It takes us only through the afternoon hours of Sunday, so these indications of these large early snowfall or ice amounts so early on in the storm's event is a bit concerning. So this is the snow that could fall just through Sunday afternoon, and let me show you the storm's position at this point. You can see it's starting right up the northeast coast, so we'll have to see. Watch very carefully for that ice. And let me show you another model, the RAP model, a very good model. It goes out to, again, 51 hours, and this is where it stops, that storm system, as far out as it goes. Let's see how much snow it predicts in these locations. You can see that's a lot of snow, guys. A lot of these locations picking up very, very, very heavy snow amounts. And even across the south, some of these may be a bit higher than what the high-res show. Again, I think Tennessee, good chance of seeing some very heavy snowfall here. And again, this doesn't show us what's further across the northeast because it only takes us out to around late Sunday in the afternoon. So yeah, that's kind of what I wanted to show you. For the most part, go over the different scenarios. Basically, the thinking hasn't changed much. Now, these areas that are in the winter storm watches are most likely going to get impacted. Northern Missouri, northern Alabama could pick up a bit of snow out of this. Just look at your local National Weather Service office, because I can't go over every region, every city. I just don't have enough time to do that in a relatively shorter video, and there's so many areas impacted by this. Snow showers likely. I think that there could be some accumulations across Missouri, even as far south, as say Oxford, Tupelo, Clarksdale, and obviously where the winter storm watch is issued, there could be decent amounts, potentially 1 to 3, 1 to 4 inches of snow. And yeah, you can see there are already ice storm warnings, in fact, issued across these areas where we saw that concerning sign of that freezing rain. 3/4 and 1 inch. I don't think, I think that's a freezing. I don't think that's ice, but because that's mainly rain. But that would be crippling if that were to occur. And then do note that across Pittsburgh, West Virginia, these areas are all forecasted to get a pretty good system. I do think that some of these are underplayed still, and they will be increased in the coming hours, as there could be some. Again, I think over 2 feet of snow, especially towards the lakes. Tennessee, most of your western area is under winter storm watch. Some of these may be also higher. They do overperform these systems sometimes, just like we saw with the previous one. So yeah, that's basically it for today's video, guys. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll just have to keep tracking the system, see what it does, see whether or not it throws any curveballs. But again, I would not be surprised to see certain areas overperform grossly and certain areas underperform, as we've seen across portions of Iowa and North Dakota already. So yes, this is a big system. If you want to keep checking these weather models, they come out pretty often. I think this is very fun. The website's called Tropical Tidbits, and you can see that, for example, the HER model, the latest model run that goes out to 18 hours. I showed you the one that went out to 48, but this is newer data. But you know, kind of the bottleneck is that it only goes out to 18 hours. But notice that the system still continues showing snow across Iowa through much of the evening today, into the night, into St. Louis by really today at midnight, into Kansas City at that similar time frame, and then this thing starts sliding towards the south. So you could see that if you're seeing, you know, 4 or 5 inches of snow across Iowa right now, you could get another 6-7 inches on top of that. So yes, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll catch you all on the next episode. See ya. Bye.